So the Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic trailer was just released as of a few minutes ago, and I've taken the liberty of skimming through every second of this footage that we got from this 1 minute and 20-second trailer to find out and reveal the Mimic's true secret before the game even releases, including lots of Easter eggs and hidden details you definitely missed while watching the trailer. So as the trailer opens, we got a shot of Steelwell Studios' logo turning its eye into the Mimics, where we then get a look at the same van from the Help Wanted 2 DLC we just got earlier this year, which we know contained the Mexus device that was seen in the Ruin DLC. However, it's unclear if the van is driving away from the factory or maybe us, the player, are driving it around the facility for some sort of mission. It would be really awesome if during the game we're also able to explore the surrounding city. But during the shot, we can hear the hand unit talking and explaining the situation.
One of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing, leaving our property abandoned in his warehouse.
He explains that Edwin has gone missing, which left the Mimic, or Jackie, as the property to roam around the warehouse. We can then see what looks to be the interior of one of the factory rooms, with lots of strange mascot characters, including the Be Yourself character we saw from one of the PAX West posters for the Secret of the Mimic. But a lot of these characters don't seem to be anyone we've seen before, but perhaps they've been mentioned in the books at some point, but they just seem to be some prototype mock-up characters. But unlike the rest, this Jester Clown looks to be pretty intriguing and could have some important implications we may learn during the playthrough. As this is shown, Hand Unit goes on to explain our job in this mission.
Your job is simple. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us. It's a kind of prototype endoskeleton that can adapt to any costume and become any character.
From what he's saying, it seems as though we, the player, have been hired by Fazbear Entertainment to retrieve the Mimic and or Jackie from the facility, where he says it's some sort of prototype endoskeleton that can disguise as any character in their costume. As this is said, we can see the player solving some sort of hand crank puzzle to open the door, possibly controlling a generator that causes the door to slide up and open, just like the typical FNAF 1 door. We can also see some sort of keypad that could possibly need a key card with high authorization access to enter. So we may find an old employee's card to gain access to the facility at some point. And as we enter into the room, there's lots of drawings and hidden details throughout the walls, with some of the posters reading "Don't be late." Late employees are subject to fines and or punishments, and some really old vintage camera systems or terminals set up on the walls. But the most important character is right in the corner on these lockers, which we will get back to in a minute as he's shown later on. And what's even more important is this hidden drawing on the wall. Deeply hidden within the dark corners of the office is a drawing of what looks to be a mock-up of a strange looking character, or perhaps it's just some kid's drawing. It's totally up for you to decide. We then get a line shot of all the mascot characters in their suits lined up against the wall, with the first being what looks like a dog, and then the elephant character which looks uniform to the one from the Ruin DLC, with a similar colored party hat and body structure. However, the head looks to be more of a plastic texturing, compared to the one we saw in Ruin that seemed more like a cloth type. So perhaps the characters go through some sort of design change throughout the years, but are eventually scrapped due to some unknown reasons. And then we can see, yeah, I really don't know what this is. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment down below your thoughts. But after the Hand Unit explains the malfunctioning, he goes on to state that
We suspect it may be malfunctioning, so just be aware of the slim but non-zero chance that you could sustain significant injuries while attempting to retrieve it, including but not limited to death or dismemberment.
Hand Unit explains how there may be a small chance we could be harmed with death or dismemberment from the quote-unquote malfunctioning endoskeleton, most likely the Mimic. But as this is being said, we can see the full Tiger Rock mascot costume in a dimly lit area, which could be a dark and deeper level into the factory. It then cuts to us crawling through and underneath the decrepit building floors being held up by plywood. But as we turn the corner, Jackie is seen in the vents or chimney shafts stalking us, and on the box to the left, we can kind of see what appears to be a small wind-up toy, which is probably another scrapped item, which we get to see being used later in the trailer. And as we fade into the next shot, the similar but not the same elephant that we saw before is standing at the very far end of the hall. But unlike the last one, this looks to be identical to the one from Ruin, with the outfit and coloring matching up exactly to the one from the previous game, just a lot more cleaned and polished to the version we saw in the DLC. But as the camera pans in, if you keep your attention to the side of the wall, you can see 3 posters referencing Fredbear's Family Diner. One being the order now with Fredbear on the phone, another whispering Bonnie and his milkshake, and the last being Fredbear eating his slice of pizza with the text, "Join us at Fredbear's Family Diner." And if I'm not mistaken, this seemingly confirms that Fredbear's Family Diner was established way earlier in the timeline than anyone had suspected. Because if this game is set in 1979, as the first teaser trailer suggests, then that would mean Fredbear's is currently or was active during the 70s. We then got our last few dialogue lines from Hand Unit, who says,
We fully expect the retrieval process to go smoothly and without incident. But just in case, we suggest you get your affairs in order before arriving.
He expects us to get the Mimic out without incident, but just in case, we should probably sort out our life problems before dying. But we can also sort out some crucial details in these next two shots that were shown, with Jackie crawling down out of a vent. But a very minute detail you probably didn't realize is that Jackie's eyes seem to be dripping some sort of substance, almost as if she's crying from the eye sockets, with what looks to be some sort of black goo, possibly some agony, but I'm not exactly sure what this could be. Perhaps this is towards the end of the game where we've caused some sort of malfunction to the animatronic to harm its internal component. But if you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments. As the camera fades to the next shot in one of the rooms, we can see the same mushroom we saw in the previous shot of the office room, except this time it's its full mascot costume with an unknown endoskeleton inside, with dark swirling eyes that are lit up. But what's interesting about this fact is that the plushie version itself also had glowing orange eyes, so it's entirely possible that this is one of the Mimic's original suits, as the plushie seems to have the exact same eye coloring as this version. But what's even more insane is the fact that Jackie and the Mimic are most likely the exact same animatronic. But you may be thinking, Jackie has green eyes, so she couldn't possibly be the Mimic, right? Well, that may be true, but if we turn to the Steelwool Studios YouTube upload of the trailer on their channel, we can see in their thumbnail that Jackie's eyes can actually change. And lo and behold, she has the same eyes as the character in the mushroom costume, which is also the Mimic, aka Jackie. But if you doubt this theory or have thoughts of your own, let me know, because as the trailer goes on, we can see our next shot featuring some sort of lava containment machine, where what looks to be a puzzle will be present for us to solve. But neatly rested in the corner is another elephant costume, which is different from the others, because if you zoom in and brighten the image, you can see a human arm tucked inside or behind the costume. And if we go to the next shot, which takes place in the same room, we can see the player opening the panel using a lever to access the wiring to fix the flow of lava. But as our camera turns, there in the corner of the room is a closer look at the elephant, again with the arm of a corpse hanging out of it, which seems to be suggesting that a worker or someone else has been stuffed inside to hide the body. And in our next shot, we can see another office room with an animatronic that looks like a mailman saying "back to work," and on the desk are a bunch of papers and notebooks scattered around the room. We can then see the player's arm and hand reach for a lever, which slowly opens a gate, and hidden behind said gate is a dimly lit area which looks to be a storage for the mascot characters. We can even see the elephant from an earlier shot down that previous hallway. So it looks like during this part of the game, we open the cage, unknowingly allowing whoever's in the suit to escape and chase us through the factory, most likely the Mimic. But that isn't even the most important part of this room, because hidden in the shadows, if brightened, you can see a hand that looks eerily similar to Mank, with pure white plastic and two lines separating the fingers. But who do you think this could be? Let me know some of your ideas. It then cuts to the camera panning and following the mushroom character, roaming around a storage room of the facility, where on the roof, we can see the Be Yourself character swinging and having fun, and lots of boxes scattered around, with a pair of feet also hanging from the ceiling belonging to an unknown character. But as the mushroom walks by, right behind him, we can spot a cardboard cutout with a space theme of a red character that sort of looks like a fish, and a rocket attached to their back with stars surrounding them. But interestingly, on the edge of the cutout is a white text with red outlining reading "push," with a bright red and activate button in the center. So it seems like we'll be getting kind of a mechanic similar to Poppy Playtime, with a cardboard cutout that talks to us each time we press the button, which, this being FNAF, could easily hide lots of lore-related Easter eggs, so be on the lookout for these while playing the game. We can then see the player on the top of the roof, exploring around as heavy snow falls on top of us. And it looks like we've been here all day, because the time seems to have shifted to night, which probably means we'll be surviving 5 nights at this factory. And then, we can see the Tiger Rock costume with the Mimic inside, as it slowly gets closer to the camera. But just before it can reach us, the clip cuts to a shot of the player controlling a terminal with some sort of early Fazwrench design, with logos of a mini Helpy, a check mark, a shield, a square, Wi-Fi, cell service, and a star. And as we twist the device in, the terminal turns on, and we can see a character by the name of Helper, and some text reading "Welcome Show Subterminal. Please select an option below." And if we look further down, we can see the same square shape, meaning that symbol is most likely the selection option. So the one shown on the Faz wrench is probably a different icon that we're unable to see as of now. But on the terminal, there are two options, with one reading Reset Welcome Show, and the bottom one a lot more obscure, stating that we're missing executive access, with a star symbol similar to the one on the Faz wrench is shown. But a very important detail is the supposedly hidden and redacted name of someone. And I've tried many different names such as William Afton, Henry Emily, Edwin Murray, etc. However, none of the characters seem to align with the name. So if you have any idea of who this could be, please comment down below and I'll try and read all the comments you guys leave. And as we inch closer to the end of the trailer, we can see a very interesting shot of a nurse who has the name tag Dolly. And the room seems to be a setup exactly like an infirmary, where they may be fixing toys and mascot costumes, or perhaps to do maintenance on the Mimic, or you know, just a normal office for the factory workers to get patched up. This area reminds me heavily of the only infirmary-esque area location I can think of, and that being from Help Wanted 2, in the level we fix and patch up Helpy while the pizzeria simulator animatronics chase us down. But if you remember, during that level, we can actually hear a feminine voice speaking and guiding us through the procedure, with the name Carnival Nurse on the subtitles for it. So it's possible that this Dolly animatronic is actually the same voice of the character we hear in that specific level. We then cut to a shot of the player throwing that same rat-looking device that I talked about earlier in the shot with Jackie in the vent or chimney. And as the player winds and hurls the object, we can see in the room lots of characters and hidden details within the area, with many references to ducks and geese, as well as the bee and a pig sitting in a box. But one of the characters is actually very familiar, because if we zoom in and focus further down the room, we can see a gator that looks very similar to Monty, which is a very cool connection. But we don't exactly know what will happen when the small device we just threw causes when it hits the floor. Perhaps a small noise distraction that will lure the Mimic away, or maybe it'll cause a small explosion and hurt the Mimic. It's really hard to tell for now. We then see Jackie running above us on the guard railing as we run down this dark hallway, and as we enter our final room, we look up. There, we can see the ceiling collapsing down onto us in the glass shattering, revealing the full-scale Music Man prototype with its huge spider-like legs, gripping and falling into the factory, giving us this awesome jump scare, which transitions into the title of the game. We then catch Hand Unit saying,
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Thank you for being a valued member of the Fazbear team.
assuring us that we are in fact hired by Fazbear Entertainment to find and retrieve the Mimic. But what we know from Ruin, that isn't exactly the case. And as a final shot of the trailer, it's finally revealed that the game releases on June 13th, 2025. But for a split-second frame, the Tiger Rock mascot is actually shown, with a human corpse just below it. Well, if I missed any details or hidden characters throughout the trailer, scroll down and comment below, and consider subscribing while you're there. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.